Hi there, Michael. Happy to see you've written us more essays. Let's take a look and see what you did. Okay, the bar chart movie preferences of young adults. Let's see what you said. This bar chart shows the popularity of 6 movie genres of young adults in 2 genders. Well, it should be of 2 genders all over the world. There are 6 genres: action, animation, comedy, drama, horror, and romantic. Among these 6 types, the most popular one is comedy, with 145 males and 137 females, which are the largest numbers in both genders, respectively. You didn't really need to say that, the respectively. Doesn't really matter, so there's no purpose for respectively. It's like unnecessary. Next, the second most favorite genre for male and female are action, 137 males, and romantic, 116 females, respectively. Okay, that sentence is fine. I would have liked you to change the syntax around a little bit because it's just a little awkward. You could have made it simpler by saying the second most favorite genre was action for males, 137, and romantic for females, 116. And then you get rid of all these superfluous words. The gender differences are greatest in these 2 types. For example, there are 85 more men than women in the romantic category. That's not true. There are 85 more women in the romantic. So that's inaccurate. There's 85 more women in the romantic, which is a bigger gap than this. Okay? So that's a good point, but your data is inaccurate, unfortunately, and that's going to affect your task achievement score. Okay. The gender differences in the other 3 types are not so distinct. The differences range from 23 to 29. Another feature of these types is that the numbers stay below 100 for again, you don't need the respectively. The respectively is only necessary if you've got 2 different figures and then you explain who those figures apply to. But since you're talking about both genders, this is not necessary. In fact, it just shows inaccurate handling of this word. Okay? In conclusion, comedy is much more popular than other types of movies. While action movies win the favor of boys, romantic movies are loved by women. Okay, let's see. The good news is you had an appropriate introduction, you had an appropriate overview, even though you wrote it as a conclusion. So that's good. I liked some of the vocabulary, I liked some of the grammar that I saw. However, you used respectively wrong multiple times, and so that's a little problematic. Okay, this would affect possibly, well, I don't know if it would affect more than one, but it would certainly affect your grammar, your vocabulary score. So be careful with that. Okay. Let's see. So that was a problem. For me, though, the biggest problem is with your task achievement. I don't really feel like you gave me detailed information. So what do I mean? I mean that you gave me figures for this. Okay. You gave me this figure. You gave me this figure. And you gave me this figure, but inaccurately. Okay. And then you told me that the rest of these, so pretty much half of the data you just kind of dismissed. You did tell me that it was under 100, which I really liked. That was a good thing to do, but it didn't really give me much information beyond that. Okay, so I knew that those other categories were all under 100, but I had no idea what that range was. So that for me was not enough information. I felt like it was missing data, essentially. So what I would have preferred here was that you could have said something like the lowest figure on the chart was romantic for men at 31, and the highest among these other groups was 86 for drama with women. So just a little more information, at least That way, I can piece the rest of those puzzle pieces together. So if I know my low point and I know my high point among these scores, then I can kind of figure out, roughly at least, where the rest of the data falls. But just telling me everything is under 100 felt for me a little too underdeveloped, not detailed enough. Okay? And so what happens here is you've got a problem with your task achievement score that would be penalized because there's not enough development. It's like you're missing data essentially. And I don't think the problem with the vocabulary is too tragic, but I also don't think it would get you one of the more desirable scores since you did it pretty consistently. And respectively is one of those words that everybody kind of expects IELTS students to know in task 1. Okay, so again, not too serious, but still serious enough that you're not looking at one of those higher scores, okay, with an error like that. All right, let's move on to your task 2, which looks rather short, but maybe it's because of the way the formatting is on the page. Let's see, travel domestically or internationally. All right, let's see. Given that traveling within and between countries is becoming increasingly more frequent than before, both advantages and negative impacts will arise. This essay will discuss both the positive and negative impacts on society. I changed this to will because when you say it like this, it would discuss it. It's almost as if you're giving me something theoretical, like the essay would discuss it if that's what we were talking about. Okay, you don't need to do something like that. So I don't find it terribly appropriate to use would here. I think will is more accurate. Okay. The first benefit of frequent travel is that it can broaden people's horizons and enhance their understanding of different cultures and societies. This understanding can be achieved through observation during visits. For example, some Westerners will change their impression of Chinese society as a backward country once they take the high-speed rail in China. Also, visits to various cultural sites in China can allow Westerners to feel the depth of traditional Chinese culture. With more understanding, the prejudice and discrimination against certain areas and countries can be reduced. All right, that's quite nice. You can see that I didn't really change anything as far as I can tell. I don't think I changed anything at all. If I did have to add something, I would add something that would affect your coherence and cohesion score, and that is that I would add a topic sentence. Okay, and what I mean by that is just a sentence that would essentially alert the reader to what you're going to talk about first. So something like, there are numerous benefits to frequent travel. Okay, or there are numerous benefits associated with travel. And then you can say the first benefit is XYZ. Okay, so that's what's missing for me. And like I said, this would have an impact on your coherence and cohesion score. Alrighty, let's take a look at your second paragraph. However, the increase in the frequency of travel, I would prefer single, not plural here, can speed up the spread of diseases and widen the scope of spread. All right, the spread and the spread. That's a little repetitive, so I would have preferred you have used more of some sort of cohesion here to link this together. Let me try it. However, the increase in the frequency of travel can speed up the spread of disease and widen its scope. You could have done that. In the past, diseases could be limited to a local area as there were few travels between towns and cities. We don't start sentences with but. Avoid it. I know we probably see it a lot in written language nowadays, but in fact it is not academic and it's not formal, so try to avoid it, please. Okay, so what you could do instead if you want to provide some sort of contrast is you could use however, and then say, however, the rise in the number of travels makes it possible for any disease, okay, no S, to be spread to any corner, no S, of the world within a few days. For example, the SARS in 2003 not soon, but it quickly infected people in a number of countries because people from China, the origin of the disease, traveled to other places and brought the illness to the places they traveled to. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, that works. It's fine. There's some good grammar in there. I like it. Yeah, okay, there's some mistakes, but there's nothing too serious. So let's look at your conclusion. In conclusion, the fact that travel between places is becoming, ing here, more common. All right, hold on. There's something happening with your grammar here. In conclusion, you know what? Get rid of this, the fact that. So in conclusion, travel between... I see what you want to say here. In conclusion, the fact that travel between places is becoming more common can bring both merits and drawbacks. While understanding between other places can be strengthened, diseases can be more easily spread to more places. Okay. Yeah, fine. It's nice. I mean, there's some little things happening throughout the essay in terms of grammar, in terms of primarily grammar, I think. Some little things. So it's nothing that is terribly concerning, but there are some errors that I just want you to add to your error list for sure to make sure that you're avoiding them in your future essays, okay? Good work with this. I liked it, and I liked the way you developed it. It was well done. So go ahead now and correct them. Send back your error correction list with your corrected essays and your new set of essays, okay? Good luck, and I will be looking forward to see what you write in your next set.